relationship will be with your spouse after the marriage, with the intention of having reproduction. Yes, birth control is fine if there is any need, but eventual goal should be to reproduce. Otherwise, society will become dysfunctional if that is by default. Modernity, what they did, they disconnected sex with reproduction and marriage because they throw divine guidance out of the window. So there is no regard to religion, no regard to revelation, no regard to God. And they would say that sex is not connected to reproduction, reproduction is not connected, or sex is not connected to marriage. So now how do they define appropriate versus inappropriate relationship? For us Muslims, I told you, with spouse after your marriage. Anything other than that is considered as inappropriate. Agree? Extramarital relationship, premarital relationship, with same gender, with opposite gender, as long as it's coming with consent because it's not connected with reproduction and family anymore, it's considered as legally fine within our legal dynamics. This is what modernity did to us. It changed our worldview. And when we are looking at the society, when we are looking at Netflix, when we are looking at the social sciences, when you're looking at the unfortunate Hollywood and Bollywood, whenever they're talking about relationship and marriage, happily lived ever after, whenever they're talking about relationship between man and woman, think about it. Are they coming from Islamic perspective or are they coming from modernity perspective in terms of this relationship? Modernity. Even if they are showing you Islamic characters, they are coming from the modernity perspective, and that's where the problem is. We see things from different angle. And okay, now how modernity denied the relationship between sex and reproduction and marriage? It was even Christianity was practiced in Western Europe and even in America, but now things are changing. It's like plastic is melting. The thing called, and you can Google it, sexual revolution. Sexual revolution came around 1960s. One of the things which was launched around that time was birth control pill. Birth control pill. What it did, it just basically disconnected sex with reproduction. Previously, women had the consequence that men can go after that, but women had the physical consequence. So what now they did, sex from reproduction, it became a recreational thing. Are you following? And we're talking about the society which was very conservative, American society. Do you know Harvard? Everyone know Harvard University, right? Harvard was male-only university. Do you know this? You don't know? Just Google it. The female department of Harvard was Radcliffe University. That was different. And this is less than 100 years ago. And in 1965 also, around that time, a singer came, and I don't remember the states, it's Carl Truman mentioned in his Strange New World book, that he sang a song and it was provocative in language, talking about pregnancies. He had to force, he was cancelled, and he had to change his song to make it more decent. And this is about in 1960s. This is conservatism of the society. That zina was even looked down upon. One female student from Radcliffe was expelled because she was found out she was sleeping with the guy in Harvard in a hotel, and she was expelled. This is talking about Massachusetts, America. Can you imagine what happened quickly? That not only zina, now even homosexuality, transgenderism is not only considered legitimate but part of my identity. What went wrong with this society? All it started, obviously it started way before, but if you want to trace it back to our recent history, it's in recent West, sexual revolution played a big part. First of all, divine guidance was thrown out of window. People were not concerned about biblical morality. People were concerned about social awkwardness. Or you do not need to have a premarital relationship because I'm preserving for my partner. I'm preserving for my spouse. You don't need to bring Allah and God and biblical God and Jesus in your discussion because that's considered as an outdated discussion. That's how they would see religion. But on top of that, now there is a technology, birth control pill. Sex and reproduction will be disconnected. You can eat that and you can have whatever you want. And then add more into this. Second World War just finished. Now Germany have the crisis. Most of the men are lost. So now women have to come to the workplace. Birth control pill have just launched. No spiritual tarbiyah. What else you will ask for? So eventually there is a rise in zina. And then media started showing Playboy models and all these things. Eventually, slowly and gradually, this thing, sexual revolution came. Sexual revolution is not only about the development of birth control pill, by the way. Some people think sexual revolution is okay. This action became transgression in that particular sexual act. No, it was already happening before. Sexual revolution means that now it becomes normal. Previously, there was a social stigma. If you see a zani in your community, you will consider him bad. You will consider her bad. But now, oh no, everyone should be respected because they have choice. So social stigma is removed. If Muslim and Mujrim, if good and bad, corrupt person and a pious person are equal, Allah says, what's wrong with you? But in our society, no. Don't blame bad person. Don't blame zani person because he and she have a choice. That's sexual revolution. You did for reproduction and for marriage with your spouse after marriage, it's fine, you have a choice. If other person does zina and they both decided that okay, these 3 kids will be raised by some foster care home, we don't want a responsibility, that's their choice. Everyone have their choice. Now this entire mentality, because Allah is being removed from the picture. So what modernity did with this entire paradigm, sex, reproduction, marriage, it disconnected. Now sex is its own thing, reproduction and marriage is disconnected. And that's just basically connected with our LGBTQ discussion. Whenever you're talking to someone, your non-Muslim friend or co-worker, one way is to bring the argument of Lut alayhi salam and his entire story. But obviously he might argue on the religion argument because obviously first of all he have an adversarial lens when he will bring religious argument. For him also, you can use rational arguments. This is our paradigm. We are promoting family system. Reproduce with the family so that eventually we are going to have stronger families. Nuclear families will be stronger. They will reproduce. We'll have good societies. And you are going to come to West. The biggest problem is underpopulation, replacement ratio, all these issues. How you will reproduce when 2L will get married. How you will reproduce when 2G will get married. How you will reproduce when you will do irreversible damage to your genitalia. You will leave 100 transgender men and 100 transgender women in surgical transgender men and women in a desert. After 100 years, you will see nothing but skeletons because they cannot reproduce. You will leave 10 men and 10 women. After 100 years, you will see communities thriving there in a desert because that's nature. That's nature. It's as simple as okay. So now that's first paradigm. But you have to understand the launch of the sexual revolution to understand these things in a proper perspective. And we Muslims, sometimes we actually are confused. When we are coming, obviously, let's say if we are immigrants, we came for money or good life here in America, we are less than 1%. When we are raising our kids, when we are sending them to school, many times we have both these worldviews, Islamic worldview and modern worldview. So when we were going to talk to our kids, we were going to say, get married after graduation, right? Or get married once you become something, right? Think about this, subhanAllah. When this entire graduation, undergrad, post-graduation system is the Western system. And getting married after certain level of education, this is the Western idea. And now you are going to flip that. In the West, in and of itself, they disconnected marriage with sex. So if you Google it, most of the mainstream students in America, they will lose their virginity, both men and women, before they will graduate high school. But they will still get married if they will get married after their graduation and will still become something. Because they disconnected these things. We want to be Muslim, so we are still connected with marriage and sex, but we want to be modern also. So we are telling our kids, delay that marriage until you become something. Basically, it's asking your kids not to do halal, not to do haram. Because they are already exposed to this. And if they won't eat halal food and if they won't eat haram food, they will starve out of that. And they will become crazy. And crazy person can do anything. And that's why it's extremely, extremely important to start a campaign in Muslim community for the early age marriage. There is a research, by the way, that now people are having less relationship between man and woman versus 10 or 20 years ago. Because marriage is happening less. Person, bodily autonomy, independence, how people are fooled and deceived. Obviously, less marriage means less relationship. Because you cannot have relationship with your partner as much as you can have with your spouse because of many other obstacles. But again, this is the first paradigm which we have to keep it in mind. Islam connected that relationship with reproduction and family. Modernity just disconnected that, and therefore we have a disaster in the society. Um, second thing. Um, Second paradigm, which is extremely important for us to understand how we see the world is different than how the modern perspective is. In Islam, if I have a feeling for something, brothers and sisters, are you following? If I have a feeling for something, there are three things in Islam. Now this is second paradigm, which is inverse relationship. In Islam, these three things have to be separated. I'm telling you second paradigm. These three things have to be separated. Modernity put these three things together. What are those three things? In Islam, we say your feeling, your action, and your identity. Your feeling, your action, and your identity. They should not be connected together. Modernity says it is connected together. How? Islam, if you want to do zina, Islam says do not act on it until you find out it's halal or haram. Right? If you are doing zina, Islam will ask you to do tawbah. Right? Islam won't say, if you are doing zina, that's who you are, and laws should be changed to confirm your feelings and your identity so that you can keep doing zina, because that's for who you are. That's not Islam. Islam says change your feelings and bring in line with guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? You won't identify with that sin. Now, flip side. When you see modernity, they said, if you have a feeling for something, they would say, go for it. Go for it. That's your true self. That's yourself. You know, they say find yourself. Be yourself. This is basically a very disturbing idea when a Muslim says this, because be yourself, what does it mean? In Islam, we say improve yourself all the time. Be yourself means basically we are disregarding any morality and we are just being ourselves. It comes from Jacques Rousseau. That you have to find your true authentic self by abolishing the morality from outside. This is garbage. If you see the life of Jacques Rousseau, you will hate him, how he find his true authentic self by just sending 5 of his kids to orphanage home. And he says, this is responsibility I need to find my true self. We don't need this kind of people. We have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger. Some feelings are praiseworthy, I need to maintain that. Some feelings are blameworthy, I need to bring in line with the Sharia. That's it. But modernity will say, your feelings, whatever your feelings are, go for it, act on it. And once you feel, you acted on that feeling, or even if you didn't act, if it's just the feeling, that's what who you are, that's your identity. So they would mix feeling and identity together. And once you do this, you know what happened? You will morally justify your argument. You would say, خَلَقْتَنِي مِن نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِن طِينٍ. You would justify that's how I was created. Why Islam says it's haram. I was created gay. How the loving God can create me in such a way, and then he can say compassionate God can say it's haram. No, you need to change Islam. You need to make a space for me. And if you're not doing this, you are a hater. Because you are denying my existence. Because I'm identified in my self-assumption with my feelings. We would say this is a problem, by the way. We would say we would not accept your identity paradigm. We say you can get feeling because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will test us in this dunya with different desires. We all can get tested. But we would not accept this identity paradigm because that's problematic. Someone might ask why we are not accepting. Well, there are many reasons for it. There's one general reason and then there is one specific reason. Someone might ask why as a Muslim we are not accepting people identify with their feelings. How you respond, tell me. They want to stop you to pray in this beautiful masjid. They are doing something, whatever they feel, however they feel. Why are you stopping? They are not stopping you to fulfill your act of feeling in praying. Let them do whatever they want. What should be response? Tell me. Okay. No response? So you will say, okay, I lost, you are right. You'll say this. How do you respond if someone asks you, non-Muslim friend? Come on. Just imagine the non-Muslim friend is asking you, why you Muslims have issue if someone is acting on their feeling. How do you respond? We are living in America, right? I know it's New York, but still it's America. Right? Tell me. Huh? So morally, I don't agree. But they don't believe in your morality. So morality grounds are different. They believe in rationality. If they are not postmodern doesn't even believe in rationality. Let's say if they are rationalist, how you would teach. So we'll tell them with few things. That first of all, for Muslims, we believe whatever Allah and His Messenger says is fine. But even rationally, Islam doesn't disregard the aqli argument, rational argument. So let's take a few examples. Let's take the road example before we can go to the private example. If you are driving 150 miles per hour in New York and you get a ticket, will you be able to say to the cop, it's my car, my choice? Will you be able to say, no, no, America was built on freedom. I have a feeling of fast driver. Let me identify as a fast driver. And if you are stopping me and giving me a ticket and telling me this is not permissible in American law, it means you are a hater. You are denying my existence by saying that I don't exist. I really got this feeling and I'm identified as a fast driver. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? And will it make sense whether can you avoid ticket by saying this? Absolutely. The argument is, no, but you might physically harm someone. But when two people are doing something private in their room, there's no chance of physically harming you. First of all, we disagree how you define harm. Because you are modernist, you will define harm only in the physical world. For us Muslims, harm comes even in metaphysical world. So let's say two people are doing something private. That example won't work then. Two people are doing something private. We Muslims have an issue with that because we say zina is haram whether public or private. How to rationally understand this? How many of you think infidelity is haram, cheating with your spouse is bad? Raise your hand. Everyone, right? Then how it will be permissible with consent, with the modern day standards, if I'm married to someone but I'm sleeping with someone else in private? How it should be justified? Then it means my sexuality need to be restricted by the law. Otherwise infidelity will increase, right? There's so many fatherless kids. Last session I did 1.9 million fatherless kids in America according to last year's statistics. 80% male commit suicide according to CDC statistics of 2021. And out of those 80%, 60% are fatherless. Guess what? If sexuality was restricted, then these numbers would have been decreased. Yes, there are other figures, divorce cannot be stopped. But these numbers are clear consequences of zina. Clear. The point is, we can use rational arguments to say that this analogy is very flawed. So again, we will going to restrict your laws, just like your speed limit need to be restricted. It doesn't matter how you feel, so that otherwise you won't harm yourself or harm others. Similarly, your sexuality laws need to be reduced, so that eventually you should not harm others or harm yourself, so that we can have good society. But again, feeling should not lead you to identity without checking it's good or bad according to divine guidance and rational. Is that clear? But because postmodernists, and I'm not giving you the history, they disregard both revelation and religion, and rational and aql. They would say, whatever I feel, I will do that. And there is no solution for that. Okay. This is the second paradigm I wanted to discuss. SubhanAllah, there are so many things I can discuss more and more and more. If you want, I can continue. Otherwise, you can have a Q&A. What do you think? Continue? You don't want to ask questions? That's why you... No, I'm kidding. Okay. Okay. Let me just tell you one more thing. I'm thinking what to add here. Okay, just last thing about the basic difference between Islam and modernity and all these isms, so that once you go from this room, you will be able to see difference between Islam, and you will see difference in different aspects of the things which you see you are surrounded with. So by the way, we have two different worldviews. Just like I said, the way we see sex is different than the way Western mainstream will going to see this relationship. Similarly, every other thing which is conflicting, we will have two different worldviews. Sometimes we know, sometimes we don't even know. It's just like in language, you use bilingual, right? Most of the times we are speaking, but you'll be mixing Arabic and Bangla and Urdu, right? Although we are speaking English, we don't even know, but we are code switching our language. Similarly, in our worldviews, we do code switching. If you ask a Muslim brother who's not praying, or Muslim sister who's not wearing hijab sister, would you eat pork? Even if she's not wearing hijab, what will be her response? No, astaghfirullah, it's haram. You are a Mariki Maulvi, it's haram, right? Because pork is socially haram. Socially haram. She's not concerned about really coming in the guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completely, because if that is the case, her lifestyle or his lifestyle will be changed. But socially still is considered as haram. But when you ask the same brother or same sister who haven't prayed for last 10 years, that he's a party animal, she's not hijabi, every weekend he's in Vegas, who's not eating pork. Sister, why don't you wear hijab? then they will say, oh, it's my body, my choice, person bodily autonomy, and men should control their gaze. It's not about my outfit which is causing the rape cases, it's about the society. So now you see, this sister became Muslim in the pork argument, and this sister became modernist or liberalist in the hijab argument. We do this all the time with our home environment also. We are Muslim in some cases, and in some aspects we are modernist. So now how to differentiate between all these isms and Islam? I'll tell you this and then we'll have a Q&A inshallah. There are three things I figured out. There may be more than three, but inshallah you can add. If you disagree with me, let me know inshallah in Q&A. There are three things, three basic differences between Islam and all these isms. I mentioned in this first or second chapter of my book also. By the way, what are the isms? Can you say? Liberalism. What other ism is most dominant? Communism, capitalism. These are economic systems also. And then conservatism, feminism, neo-Marxism, libertarianism is different than liberalism, postmodernism, etc. All these isms. All these isms which came after the post-enlightenment, which is most of the isms we see right now, it comes after post-enlightenment. They have these three things in common which they disagree with Islam. So instead of just opening every book of feminism and liberalism and just open, no one have time. We barely read Quran these days. Forget these complicated philosophical theories. So if I was going to tell you three basic differences from the Quran and Sunnah between Islam and these isms, I hope you will be able to see the world in a different way once you leave the masjid, inshallah ta'ala, okay? So, first difference between Islam and all these isms, or I would use modernity. The one word is easy to use, except, okay. Does these modernity and isms believe in materialism and body, human body? Does we exist? Yes. But do they believe in soul, ruh? No. Why? Rule of thumb for all these isms which came after post-enlightenment, that anything coming from unseen world, unseen means ghaib, they won't believe. Rule of thumb is. Because anything which cannot be proven from empirical sciences or from rational physical sciences, the empiricists or rationalists, they won't believe. Because for them, Christianity in Western Europe abused metaphysics, abused unseen world. They fought with each other, Protestant and Catholics. So they get nightmares about these metaphysical world. So they would say we will only going to use the physical world, what we will see. So body we can see, but soul, it's hard to prove from rational physical sciences. Even postmodernists will even put a question mark on this entire empirical sciences. Okay, what it does. In Islam, do we believe in body? Do we believe in soul? Yes. Both are important in Islam, right? But which is more important? Soul. Okay. Our body has certain desires, physical desire to eat, otherwise it will die. And certain other desires, sensual desires, which it have to fulfill. Does our body know in and of itself what is good and bad in and of itself? Body in and of itself doesn't have idea about halal haram. It just want to fulfill. Body will see food, body will grab it. Body will see something for the sensual desire, it will grab it. Then we have soul coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We say, وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ أَلَسْتُ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ, entire argument. Soul comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the soul was blown into the womb of our mother, and we came out in the dunya with the combination of soul and the body. So now soul, in Islam, we have to fulfill those desires while nourishing the soul. Now, when you deny the soul, basically you deny the unseen world, and you deny any connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now what happened? Modernity believe in body, they don't believe in soul. Two primary things which will happen. One thing, that once you deny soul and connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what becomes your emphasis? Tell me, what becomes your emphasis? Allah is not your emphasis, Allah is not your focus. Your soul, which have the connection with Allah, that is denied. So now what is your emphasis? Body. Body. So now bodily desires will be your focus. Your objective, your purpose of life is not وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that is denied because of I've denied the connection with my body and my Allah through my soul. Now my entire focus and centrality will be my body. how to fulfill the bodily desires, whether eating, drinking, or sensual desires. Is that clear? One more thing have happened after the denying of soul, and that is, once I deny Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as an authority and I deny the soul as a connection, now who is the owner of my body? Me. Previously, soul came from Allah, Allah is the owner, my body is a amana, trust. That argument has gone. Now I'm the owner. Now it's my body, and I'll make choices for it, my choice. I'm free to make whatever decision. I'll feel and I will do without any higher outside morality. Are you following? You know where the argument is going, right? So this is what happened. This is first disagreement. Whether you see feminism, whether you see liberalism, libertarianism, modern day movements like neo-Marxism, all these isms, they have one thing in common. They deny unseen world, they have an adversarialness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and what's the practical manifestation? Materialism, body, they believe, but they don't believe in soul, so they would deny all the metaphysical arguments, they would deny all the arguments which connects the body with higher authority. Is that clear? Second thing, by the way, before we can move on, Islam gave a beautiful balance between body and soul. Christianity, Catholicism said, focus on your soul, forget your bodily desires. If you want to become pastor, don't get married. How can you fulfill bodily desires, animalistic characteristics desires, while nourishing your soul? Christianity said, focus on your soul. Catholics. Modern Freudist people said, no, focus on your body. Forget about your soul. Islam says, focus on both. Fulfill your bodily desires in a healthy way. Islam considers that as an act of ibadah, subhanAllah. But nourish your soul. Do it in a healthy way. Don't become wild animal who is just sleeping with everyone. Bring discipline. And guess what? Wherever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, go and check the Quran. Wherever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about character, in Surah Furqan ending, in Surah Bani Israel, Surah Al-Isra middle part, in Surah Al-Mu'minun, in Surah Al-Ma'arij, wherever Allah is speaking about character, Allah says your character cannot be good until you bring sexual discipline. Allahu Akbar. وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا الزِّنَا وَلَا يَزْنُونَ وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ. All these ayat are basically in the middle of the character development passage. Modernity tells you your character is different than your spirituality. Quran says your character and your spirituality are tied together. Subhanallah. Islam connected body and soul together. Okay. Second difference between Islam and all these isms is you believe, the modernism believe, by the way, when I'm talking about modernity, I'm talking about philosophy, not technology. We all should have modern gadgets, if you can afford it. It's not haram. But I'm talking about modernity as a philosophy, it's different. Modernity believes, all these isms believe in this dunya. They will explore galaxy, planets, solar system. But do they believe in akhirah? All these isms. Feminism, liberalism, conservatism. By the way, conservatism is religious? No. Conservatism, some people think conservatism is religious. No. Conservatism came to conserve the post-enlightenment tradition, because liberalism wants to change everything new is welcoming by liberal. Conservative came to conserve the post-enlightenment theories and worldview, because they don't like this changing by the new things and then jeopardizing the established institutions. So don't think conservatives are willing to go back to God and no. By the way, I mentioned something about them in my book, but that's a different thing. So okay, second difference is dunya versus akhirah. Modernity believe in dunya. They will go and explore the dunya, mashallah, but they deny akhirah. In Islam, do we believe in dunya? Does dunya exist? Absolutely. It's makhluk, right? Do we believe in akhirah? Absolutely. Both are important in Islam. Both are important. You need to flourish in dunya. You need to go and earn money so that you can give it back to the community and take care of your family, right? There were Sahaba who were rich. Rasulullah says, Ni'mal malu salih, abdus salih. The best of the Muslim, listen to this hadith, the best of the Muslim is the best of the, Ni'mal malu salih, abdus salih. The best of the wealth is the wealth of the pious Muslim. What did Rasulullah say? The best of the wealth is the wealth of the righteous Muslim. And you are saying a righteous Muslim should be miskin. Where will take this hadith? So we should go and earn for ourselves so that we can take care of our dunya and we should not be distracted and we can focus on akhirah. But in terms of comparison of dunya and akhirah, which is more important? وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. Akhirah, dunya is worthless in terms of comparison. Now when modernity removed akhirah, what it does, it removes first of all sense of accountability. Whatever you will do, as a Muslim you know that akhirah you have to be accountable. If you are missing your prayer, you have to be accountable. If you are conducting yourself in an inappropriate way sexually, you have to be accountable, unless you do tawbah. That entire accountability is removed once you deny akhirah, because that's from unseen world. Who have seen that? It's from metaphysics. Jannah is metaphysics, Nar is metaphysics. So let's focus on dunya. So now, the definition of success, definition of failure, everything is changed. Because we believe as Muslim, you are successful if you will go to Jannah. You are failure if you will go to hell. فَمَنْ زُحْزِحَ عَنِ النَّارِ وَأُدْخِلَ الْجَنَّةَ فَقَدْ فَازَ. On a flip side, you deny akhirah, who becomes successful? If you are successful in this dunya, you are successful. That's materialism and modernism. If you are failure in dunya, you are failure. And that's what modernity did to us. And so that impacted our worldview. Are we modernist or are we Muslim? We should be Muslim. But I gave this example. When you are waking your kids up for Salatul Fajr, wake him once, but then your spouse will come and say, oh, Allah's Ghafurur Rahim, let him sleep, he's sleepy right now. But after 30 minutes, you will wake him up because it's a school time. And even if he's tired, you will go against his desire, against his consent, against his freedom, against his choice of not waking up, against his feeling, all these loaded words. But you will wake him or her up to go to school, because the school is more important than Salah. For us, school is important, but Salah is the most important. But that's a problem. We see things from the modern perspective. So that is coming in our kids also. Did you see now how we are impacted with modernity? So this is dunya versus akhirah. And the final thing which this modernism springs is self versus Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Self. So first dunya, body versus soul. Dunya versus akhirah. Third is self versus Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Entire focus when you removed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that's from the unseen world. What happened? The entire centrality has been given to yourself, to you human being, which makes you, basically, what it does when you focus on yourself and you remove Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the final difference. First thing it did, that now, when you deny the higher authority Allah, do you need guidance from Him? You already deny. So there is no point of saying, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim as he was reciting. You don't need guidance because you don't believe in Him. Because you believe whatever you are going to feel, you'll do that. You don't need any higher authority. There's no divine guidance. Your worldview is now not Allah-centric, because Allah, you have denied Allah. Your worldview is self-centric, or human-centric, or ego-centric. However you are going to feel, you are going to do that. And you will be a very selfish person, because once you believe in Allah, you believe you are part of one community, human family. Now you deny Allah, now you are going to become very selfish in your approach. You will see all other people, all the institutions surrounding you as a threat until they confirm your feeling, including parents. So if your parents are good, if they are confirming you. If your parents will say something and discipline you, you will go out and put on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, my parents are abusive, because they are not confirming my feelings. Therapists will be going to confirm you that yes, your parents should be demonized, not confirming your feelings, because your feelings are central, your self is central now. Any outside authority should not be there. That is one of the problems which we are struggling right now. We are worshipping ourselves. Have you seen a person who worships himself? Because you denied Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what remains? It's only you. So me, my, you, yourself, myself, I, that becomes basically center of our universe. So with this, inshallah, if you remember these three differences, once you go out, think about everything in Netflix and social media is promoting these three things in absence of these three other things in the metaphysical world. And I hope, inshallah, whenever we are studying medical science or IT or technology, it's important for us to inculcate, make it Sharia compliant. If you are studying medical science, for 6 years you will study medicine. Would they teach you medical body as an object? Or medical body, our human body, is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How they will teach you in America? They won't teach you as it's a creation of Allah, Allah created, no. They will teach you a separate object with different metaphysical wires. But you have to bring that idea, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our creator. So that in every science you have to do this, inshallah ta'ala. So I hope, inshallah, this will help to change our worldview. Now let's start Q&A, inshallah, if there's any questions. And I'll give the mic to our brother. Forgot his name, subhanAllah.
Jazakallah khair, Imam Asif. Before you go, if everyone, there is a little QR code coming around. If you can take, it's about 45 seconds to fill it out. It will allow Masjid Darul Quran to notify you of programs in the future. It will also allow ICNA Suffolk County to let you know what programs we will be doing with Masjid Darul Quran. And it also give you an opportunity to ask questions to Imam Asif. Now the reason why you can ask your questions directly to him, but this is a sensitive topic, and I'm going to take an assumption that especially sexuality is something that was not discussed in our traditional upbringing. So I might have a question and I might not be comfortable asking it. So you have the opportunity to go ahead and you can just write a small text in there and we can ask Imam Asif the question. Those of you that are comfortable asking, by all means go ahead and do so, but those of you that also don't leave here with that question and go home. You have the opportunity, someone who studied this particular area extensively, so please, inshallah, take advantage of that. It takes about 30 to 45 seconds to fill out. So if anyone have a question, you can just raise your hand, inshallah.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, just before you start questioning, the refreshment is on the way, so please stick around for about 10 minutes more, and this way, inshallah, we can learn more, and we'll have the refreshment at the end, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.
This is a very good question. How many of you have heard the Canadian video where a teacher has said the same thing? It went viral just 2 weeks ago. That 2 months ago I was celebrating Ramadan. Now why you're not doing Pride Month, right? You have to understand a complicated concept of neo-Marxism before I can answer this, because I cannot answer this without this. I was trying to avoid using philosophical language, but I have to because this question is related to that. Our entire political system, how many of you have heard woke? Woke, W-O-K-E, woke. Okay? Obviously this word have different connotations, but one of the philosophical connotation is a slang for neo-Marxism in the more modern day politics. Although some people might disagree, but this is how it is being portrayed. Okay, let's discuss neo-Marxism. Neo-Marxism, in a summary, is a theory called conflict-based approach. They would see the world right now as a conflict-based approach. You have to understand this philosophical concept before I can answer your question. They would see the world right now as zalim and mazloom fighting with each other. They would see this as oppressor and oppressed fighting with each other. And they would say that we need to help the oppressed mazloom to bring equality and egalitarian so that equality can be managed. And they would say that oppressor are using or abusing all means, including religion and their finances and economics, but religion also, to exploit the mazloom, exploit the oppressed. So we need to ask them to come out, no matter what morality and religion is teaching you, so that equality can be implemented. Is this clear? But the question to the postmodernists is, how do you define oppressor and oppressed? Zalim and mazloom. Because Quran uses zalim and mazloom. Rasulullah says, Unsur akhaka zaliman wa mazlooman. Help your brother whether he's zalim or mazloom, oppressed and oppressor. Do you know there is a hadith? Help your brother whether he's zalim or mazloom. Sahaba ask Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for the oppressed, we know how can help him. But for the zalim, for the oppressor, how can we help him? Rasulullah didn't follow their, Sahabas didn't follow their Imam just because it's coming from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They asked for clarification. Rasulullah clarified, تَمْنَعُهُ مِنَ الظُّلْمِ. You help the oppressor by stopping him from the zulm. Okay? So now the question is, how do they define oppressor and oppressed? Now listen to this. They would say, oppressor is homosexual, and oppressor is heterosexual, oppressed is homosexual, transgender, all this thing. All the minorities, people of the color are, in the Western countries, they were put in the bucket of oppressed. Men is oppressor, woman is oppressed. Okay, now, is there a partial reality to it? Partially, it might be true that some men are control freaks. We have Firaun and Asi in the case, right? But is this a general rule? We have some women who are oppressor, and we have some men who are oppressor. But once you follow this paradigm, you have to go with complete. All the men are oppressor, all the women are oppressed. All the heterosexual are oppressor, all the homosexual are oppressed. This is a problem. Rich people are oppressed, oppressor, poor people are oppressed. Okay, some rich people do abuse their richness and power, but does this apply all the time? No. Some poor people also are oppressive. What this does, they would say this is our social justice to bring the oppressed up and create an equality. But now, listen. Here is an oppressor who is abusing his power, and there is oppressed. There is rich, men, heterosexual, woman, homosexual, transgender, all the minorities, all the people of the color. Poor. In order to bring equality, what I need to do? I need to bring this down, and I need to bring this up, and their equality will be created. But did you see something? That this have to come down, because this is assumed as oppressor. And this have to go up, because this is assumed as oppressor with no moral justification for it, because that's the assumption. Stephen Hicks on explaining postmodernism actually wrote about this a lot. Okay, now, what this does, it puts us Muslim in a very difficult position in America. From the morality perspective, we are in line with, they will hate religious morality coming, because Karl Marx said, this new Marxism theory of oppressor's oppressor came from Karl Marx. It came in, he hated religion. He said religion is being abused by oppressor to abuse oppress. So religious morality perspective, we have a community, we are in the bucket of oppressor. But as a minority identity, we are in oppressed. LGBTQ as a minority, they are oppressed. Add our sisters' dynamics. Woman is oppressed. So, have you ever seen Beard Day, International Beard Day? No. International Hijab Day? Okay. Okay. Now, a lesbian sister might come and they say to our sisters that, see, I'm wearing hijab, mashallah. Even though it's rainbow color, but I'm wearing hijab. Just to show solidarity. Just FYI, by the way, take a pause here. They do not have any problem with our sisters wearing hijab if our sisters are wearing hijab because of their choice. They will have problem if you are wearing hijab, sisters, because you are following Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They will have problem. If you submit your choice to Allah, they will have problem because it's tyrannical. But if you are wearing hijab just because it's your choice, you are following your culture, it's fine. Because they are putting you in different identity. This FYI. Okay. We become extremely happy that Walmart have some Ramadan Mubarak sign. Alhamdulillah. And we don't realize what is happening in the neo-Marxism, that it's a quid pro quo. When you are helping them, they are helping you, and morality is being thrown out of window. Now identity politics is being thrown on your face. Now 2 months later, Rainbow Pride Month will come, and same sister will be reached out. The sister Fatima, you need to come in our Pride Month, and we are having dance party in LGBTQ event. And you need to wear hijab for diversity. Have you seen that they will show one hijab for diversity card in the entire LGBTQ thing? Yeah, that's what they're doing. This is what's happening with us. So we say that our social justice is Islamic social justice, not neo-Marxist social justice. I have my morality, which I won't compromise on the name of your dynamics of social justice. Do not expect me just because you have an event, Ramzan Manawan, alhamdulillah, inna deena indallah al-Islam, I firmly believe that. But I won't compromise on my principle, then you will ask me to support. Furthermore, it's actually not even quid pro quo. It's not even quid pro quo means you give me favor, I give you favor. It's not even that. When they are coming in Ramadan to say Ramadan Mubarak, did the LGBT community say that homosexuality is a sin? Did they say that in Ramadan? Did they say transgenderism is not permissible? They did not compromise on their values. They just said Ramadan Mubarak. And when you go into their, you cannot even say homosexuality is a sin because you are a hater then. So they didn't compromise on their values, and they are asking you to compromise on your values. Malakum kayfa tahkumun. What kind of quid pro quo is this? Are you getting it, brothers and sisters? So this is entire, we have to understand identity politics, neo-Marxism, before we can even discuss that. And sisters, you will have an additional layer. Because sisters are being put in the same bucket. So if you will be patient on your value system, if you will show resistance, you will get more reward than brothers, inshallah. And this will be considered as jihad. That, no, this is my value system. This is my ethical, I won't be compromising. Because the expectation they will have with you is more than the brothers because of this entire modern day political system, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you courage, inshallah ta'ala.
So a few questions came in. So Jazakallah khair to those that have been submitting some questions, and those who have more questions, you can keep submitting on that form, or you can ask directly. So I think they're both tied into each other. One is, at what age do you think we should start the conversation around sexuality and genders with our children? And the second was a little bit more detailed. How do we help younger loved ones in grade school that are being influenced by gender fluidity and concepts such as femboys or feminine boys, advocated by popular celebrities such as like Harry Styles? How do we stop them from being confused on their sexuality and desire to switch or be labeled as a different gender when they are so head-on in the belief that they don't fit in with other peers who are the same gender?
Basically how to parent. Yeah. Okay. So parenting. By the way, those who are leaving, they can get the books from outside, inshallah. Yeah, books will be outside. Abdullah, if you can help them, inshallah. Yeah. In the back. Abdullah is coming, inshallah. Okay. So one of my friends said that it's easy to become a parent, but it's difficult to parent a child. Think about it, subhanAllah. For how to convince your kids about you are in a wrong body is entire hoax. Okay, let me start with that. I was talking to, first of all, you need to convince yourself before you can convince your kids. I was talking to my cousin. She's very liberal. She's doing cognitive psychology from UCLA. So she said, Asif bhai, why you wrote the entire work? Why you are against this LGBTQ? There is a data that feelings are natural. Let people do whatever they feel. If they are in a wrong body, let them do surgery. So I said, obviously, I have to use her language, her terms. I said, how can you decide whether biology will trump psychology or psychology will trump biology? Just tell me, answer this. I said 50 years ago, did I give this example here? 50 years ago, if you say to a medical doctor, I'm a woman trapped in the body of men. I'm Fatima trapped in the body of Abdullah. A doctor might have said, take these medicine, we will bring your feeling in line with your body, because your body, your biology is undeniable fact. Your feeling can be considered gender dysphoria, we'll change that. Now in 2023, if Abdullah will go to doctor and says, I am a woman trapped in the body of men, I'm feeling like Fatima, I'm Abdullah, you know what the doctors will do? He knows better than me as if they will say, okay, let's go to this gender reassignment surgeries and puberty blockers. Let's change your body to bring in line with your feelings. Now the question is, what happened? The entire shift from body to the feelings, from biology to psychology. This is basically the essence of this entire postmodernism, that everything is decided by your feelings. This is what we are discussing. Because who is going to decide that? We Muslims believe the relationship between the body and the feelings, biology and psychology, we are dependent on divine guidance because it's a metaphysical question. Obviously now your metaphysics is thrown out of the window, now you are deciding this by feelings. So this is, we should be convinced first. Now talking to your kids, I think you should be proactive and reactive as a parent. You should be talking to your kids if they're 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. When you're telling them Lut alayhi salam's story, tell them about this modern day Lut alayhi salam dynamics to a nation. Tell them about what will it mean when they will see rainbow color around the month of June. SubhanAllah, I told my kids, and in this month, last time we just had this discussion, and this time when Pride Month came and we went to Target and they had the rainbow colors everywhere, So Fatima and Hibban told my kids that, Abba, don't go to that aisle that have haram thing. Alhamdulillah. Proactive. Proactive. You might think, no, we do not need to teach our kids. See, if you won't teach, someone else will. So we are living in a difficult time. We need to be proactive. Obviously, don't use graphic language. Use Sharia compliant language, but introduce your kids. Didn't Imam Shafi memorize the Quran in 7 years old? He had to go through Lut al-Islam's story multiple times. In the Quran, he had to go through Yusuf al-Islam's story in Qissatul Murawada with the minister's wife. So he is pretty much introduced to the idea, and all of these early scholars, they didn't use graphic language back in the days. So that's what we need to do when introducing our kids. We need to introduce zina versus nikah concept without graphic language. We need to introduce this entire idea of men can only marry a woman. Men and men cannot get married. Women cannot get married. Men cannot say that I'm a woman or I'm a dog or I'm a wolf. No, it doesn't make sense. And introduce this idea. My son came to me. They went for public school for 2 months, and I pulled them back, alhamdulillah. But my son came to me, and my son and daughter were having discussions, subhanAllah. They came to me. They said a teacher asked their student, maybe my son or my daughter, yeah, my son, that what do you want to become when you grow old? So one of the students in his class said that I want to be dog. Last month, not even Pride, in May, in the month of May. You want to be dog? And my son and daughter were discussing that why he said this, and I was listening to their discussion. I was quiet. I was thinking, okay, where the thought process is. So my son said to my daughter that, I think he said this because he wanted attention. That's why he wanted to fit in certain crowd. And I said, subhanAllah, at least by proactively introducing, they are reaching to the conclusion, not necessarily the ideal conclusion, but they are reaching to the conclusion, this is bad. And this is what you need to do. Be proactive. And especially they're targeting kids, as he introduced, this is multi-million-dollar industry now. So what we need to do, we need to basically get organized. As a community, have a parent support group. Whether, again, I'm saying this, please forgive me. No matter whether you are Deobandi or Salafi or Sufi. Wallahi, this challenge, Deobandi kids have it, Salafi kids have it, Sufi kids have it. Organize. Leave your differences on different things, on theological, fiqh issues. I know those differences because I am coming from that field. But this one particular challenge, everyone have it. Get more organized. Become a movement. You'll get more successful. Don't be an individual. The development will be slow. Then you can have a powerful impact in protecting more parents like yourself, inshallah. And you can have a support group of kids and everything, inshallah. Surrounded by the like-minded people, inshallah ta'ala.
So I just want to reiterate, before I get to the next question, 2 things that Imam Asif mentioned. Parenting your kids is extremely important. Now, there's a certain level of discomfort with discussing certain issues that maybe in our own upbringing we never had to have ever discussed. But the reality is, if you do not discuss it, the chances are someone who is much more less qualified than you has already discussed it with them. And they are telling you, like I started off by saying, it's something very complete 180 of what our deen is teaching us. So if you're afraid to discuss it, one of the things that we have to understand is Shaitan is not afraid to discuss anything. In fact, he says that I am going to distract them, I'm going to divert them, I'm going to challenge them at every, this is his promises, this is what he wants to do. So please, take it very seriously. Do not give him the opportunity to allow our children to be picked off one by one. The other thing he mentioned is it's a very real multi-million-dollar industry. Matter of fact, subhanAllah, we're sitting here, and I don't know if this is a national thing, but I know in New York State this is national. It's Pride Month. So whether you know it or not, your children are coming into school. They're being given ribbons. They're doing certain projects. They're having maybe guest speakers come in, and it's from all ages. But the difference is they'll have these programs come in, but they're not taking into consideration the cognitive or the intellectual level of your child. So a 5-year-old kid might just see, rainbows and unicorns and something very innocent and pure, but the person presenting it, their agenda is not very innocent and pure, right? So that's something, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of us and our children. The next question that came was, how do you respond when you tell people Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed because of the same-sex partners, and they say that happened a long time ago and it's no longer relevant? How do you change their thinking?
So there are two aspects of this question. One is the modernist aspect, that they were not destroyed, or the Lut al-Islam nation was not destroyed because of, that's their modernist argument, because of homosexuality. Rather, they were destroyed because of rape. That's a modernist argument. Don't try to ever do this. Don't try to change the religion to fit into the modern, secular, postmodern, liberal paradigm. You will do a big disservice to Islam. It might be acceptable to certain Westerners, but it might not be acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for sure. Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed them for shirk and homosexuality and few other crimes, but homosexuality was repeated the most often when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala repeats the story of Lut al-Islam. As any reader of the Quran is going to manifest that. How do you explain to the kids? That is exactly, you have to explain by showing the extreme amount of dislike with this act. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed previous nations for bad things. Along with shirk, they did this. Shoaib alayhi salam, they were cheaters in business, so cheating is bad. Lut al-Islam nation, along with shirk, they did this, so this is extremely bad. Fir'aun and Karo and Aad and Thamud, Allah mentioned these stories repeatedly for us for a reason. So you need to use exactly same stories. Why we are not destroyed? Because we are nation of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Azab istisal won't come here. Azab istisal is previous nations were destroyed because of Azab istisal. A prophet came, delivered the message. If you won't follow, a nation will be destroyed. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came not only for a nation, rather for the entire humanity. And now, Azab istisal, the entire nation won't be destroyed for these crimes, even though we have those symptoms which previous nations had, because until the day of judgment, we are the followers of the final prophet. So Azab istisal won't come. A small punishment Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give so that we can go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But again, this won't make it halal, that one act which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala repeatedly said, that was the reason of why that entire incident. And in Surah Hud, in Surah Araf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this story 6 to 7 times, mentioning homosexuality is a primary reason. So just don't try to play with the hermeneutical system and say everything. Then what will be haram if homosexuality is halal? Wallahi, what will be halal then? There is something haram then. Because that's a liberalization of religion, individualization of religion, privatization of religion, de facto Christianization of Islam. Don't do that with Islam. So that's what I would say. Use the same stories to tell your own narrative.
Jazakallah. What do you say to people who say that they were either born gay or they feel that way? Is it punishable to have that feeling if you don't act on that feeling?
So first question, the born gay hoax. We would say, what you have to do, feelings, identity, action. You remember that? Feelings, action, identity? I just told you. Differentiate between those. You are not born gay. You are just having feelings of homosexuality. They are two different things. Use appropriate language. You are not born gay. You are born Muslim or Christian or Jew, or born as American or these, but you are not born gay. No one in the history of our planet identified themselves with sexuality before these people. It's a very new concept. And the moment you say I was born gay, I was born that way, it means what? I need to fulfill my desires, and outside laws need to change, including morality. So we would say you have feelings for same-sex attraction, but you're not born gay. So first, pull them out of identity paradigm, because if you believe in identity paradigm, you chopped your hands. You are in their territory. Now, if you have same-sex attraction, by the way, just matter of fact, I was listening to one podcast, I don't know who it was, most of the people who identify as gay have not even encountered, majority of them, homosexual act. They just identify because it's a cool thing in campuses to identify as this or that. Anyway, will I be punished if just because I have a same-sex attraction? What did I say? Feeling, actions, and identity. These three things need to be separated. If you have feelings of same-sex attraction, and if you're not acting on it, will you be punished? Tell me yes or no. No, you will get reward for being patient. If I, as a heterosexual, if I will see a woman outside, and if I'm patient, because it's not legal to have a relationship with her. Will I get reward for being patient? For not doing zina? Absolutely. Similarly, if you are patient for not crossing the lines, whether same or opposite gender, you will get reward. You are doing jihad bin nafs, right? So we would say that actually it's absolutely fine. The Lut al-Islam nation was not destroyed just because of their feelings. They basically destroyed because of they acted on something, right? Second, if you are acting on something, haram, we will advise you to do tawbah. We won't say that you are born that way, so you identify that. So it's extremely important, differentiate between the feeling and action and identity.
Jazakallah khair. Anyone else have any questions? Let me just check one last time if there's any other questions. Anyone else? Final question.
Any advice for youth?
In general.
Any advice for youth? First of all, I'll give you can give to youth because I can hardly see any youth. I can see one or two here and there. First of all, try to listen on YouTube and TikTok, moderate voices, not extreme voices. That's the first thing. I know it's almost impossible if I will say don't listen to YouTube shorts. It's haram, right? We all will listen to YouTube shorts instead of listening to Trevor Noah or Jordan Peterson. Try to find moderate Muslim voices who are speaking about this issue. Because either it's Trevor Noah or Matt Walsh, Jordan Peterson, there is nothing in between. And both have, so Jordan Peterson, Matt Walsh, I mentioned in the beginning of first chapter of my book, there are 3 conditions. If you would apply that, then you can use their arguments about LGBTQ, but they're coming from different metaphysics and epistemology. So try to find moderate voices when you're listening on YouTube shorts, TikTok. That's the first thing. And it's difficult to find because our environment is a politically correct environment, and this environment, extremism will thrive. Because you're not supposed to say anything unless it's politically correct. So extremism will thrive because extremists will say whatever they say and they will attract one audience because of their extremism. That's why you have people who are extremist feminists and extremist misogynists on YouTube forums, but there's no moderate voice, even on sexuality. Second advice to the youth, differentiate between a scholar, real scholar, and a politician or activist or influencer. That's another thing I would advise. Because you might learn your Islam from your influencer or YouTuber or even politics, and that is a wrong resource to learn Islam. Try to learn your Islam from the scripture and from the hearers of the Prophet, the bearers who deserve to teach you. That's the second thing. And third thing, if you have any question, get a mentor in your life. It's very important. Mentor does not need to be a super scholar. Any adult, wise, knowledgeable person, try to get a mentor. If you have any question, any confusion, speak to him. Last advice I would say, 2 more advice. If you ever think that you have doubts about Islam, then reach out to scholars, reach out to me, as I am your brother, and I will be very disheartened if you were going to make that decision of departing without doing your homework. So reach out to scholars if you are having any doubts, because we are living in a Muslim minority country. It's easy that you will get influence from your college and for campuses. But if you have any doubt, talk, seek knowledge. Your parents does not have any knowledge all the time. Talk to the people, talk to the scholars, and inshallah they will be able to help you. And finally, make dua. Make dua. Once you make dua, inshallah, that Allah guide me to the straight path, guide us to the straight path. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. Wallahi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will going to provide opportunities for you, inshallah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us all, inshallah ta'ala.
I was going to ask Imam Saab if it's okay for one last question, but he went outside. So if you can end on this, because actually, subhanAllah, the title of your book here is Rethinking the Rainbow. So the final question that came in was, at a young age, little girls often love the color or the colors of the rainbow. Until the last decade or so, this array of colors can no longer be associated without being stuck with the LGBTQI. And assuming that their child or person is gay. How did the LGBT group claim this color? Where did they get the idea of the rainbow come from? And how did they adopt this? Now, one very real situation, if you can tie this in. Recently, one of the Islamic schools here, as a parting gift, the kids make packets and stuff for each other. So one of them made these really nice handbags for the teachers to carry their belongings. And all the teachers left on the last day of class with this big rainbow on their bag. So the older children that they had was like, Ammi, Abu, what is this bag? What's going on here? But meanwhile, the bag was designed by a 4-year-old child who's not thinking of anything. It was just a rainbow. I love the colors. I love to paint. And it was something very pure and very innocent, but I think it's something that's, possibly been hijacked, and they want to know a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I don't know definite answer because this is all speculative theories. Why it came, and even they're different. If you see the flags colors are different between the rainbow. One of the theory which came that rainbow have all the colors merged together as one flag. So you have all the sexual orientation and sexual identity and all those are merged together. That's one of the, and there are many. You should just simple Google search because all these are speculative theories. But now the matter of fact, more concerning thing is how they are marketing with this as a brand. My son was just playing a car game with me and he told me, Appa, see this rainbow. As a haram thing, obviously. He's 9-year-old. And once you are playing car racing, there are flags coming. And they've changed the flags for the month of June in that game from rainbow colors. And I said, SubhanAllah, what a sublime message they are giving to our kids. And obviously, big tech companies promoting the products and everything. So my own 3.5-year-old daughter, when we went to the Walmart, my 11-year-old daughter told her for her dress, Maryam. So Maryam is 3.5, Fatima is 11, 12. So Maryam liked a dress rainbow color. And Fatima said, no, this is haram, this is haram. And Maryam started crying, no, Appa, I need this rainbow dress. Obviously, she doesn't know at that time anything. And it's hard to convince at that time. But that's how they target it because it's naturally attractive. Rainbow is a good color. So, Wallah al-musta'an, wa alayhi tuqlan, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. But may Allah protect us all, inshallah. Again, the ideas get organized and work as a movement. They have so many disagreements, as I said in the beginning, but they work together as a flag. Rainbow holds different colors are coming to. Similarly, we need to get organized to respond to this because we are the bearers of Islamic and divine morality. So that's what we need to do, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakallah khair. Inshallah, we'll conclude with dua, but before we do, I would like to again thank the administration of Masjid Darul Quran for allowing us to come here and discuss this very important topic. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward those of you that came here for Zohar time and stayed beyond expectation. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of our children from the trials that are coming up. I'm going to ask Imam Asif if you can just conclude with dua, inshallah.
اللهم اجعلنا من الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر آمين يا رب العالمين. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة إلا قضيتها يا أرحم الراحمين ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا ميتا إلا رحمته ولا ضالا إلا هديته يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم اهد شبابنا اللهم اهد شبابنا اللهم اهد شبابنا الصراط المستقيم. وصلى الله على النبي الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
No, that's yours.